Alright, we're back here at Lantern Insights. Again, continuing with this Urza list that we've really been working on, kind of honing a little bit over the last couple leagues. We open up a really solid hand here. We have kind of everything we want. Saga is very good. And I think this hand really highlights why Profane Tutor, I think, is definitely a step up over Stirrings. As here with Tutor, it definitely feels more consistent. Like you can, just that flexibility to get anything is really kind of a step up over Stirrings, where it was kind of, you can hopefully hit the lock, but sometimes you won't, and you'll often hit something that isn't as relevant. So, and just the Tutor feels like a more powerful card in a vacuum, which is nice to have. And so they lead on Marsh Flats, and I think we have definitely a lot of decks that this could be here. Could be one of the new Scam variants. Hammer Time could play Marsh Flats, so just the one fetch doesn't reveal a ton. We're gonna just play Bauble and Shredder here, give ourselves a bit of information to work with. And when they crack it for Blood Crypt tapped specifically, it's definitely looking like some sort of Scam deck that maybe just didn't have a great turn 1 start here. Yeah, it's probably like the most likely thing. Castle Lochthwain is definitely a Scam card here. Dothy obviously Scam, and we see another Bridge on top. And Bridge is, we do elect to leave it on top, as having multiple bridges game 1 is basically game over. We are gonna suspend a Profane Tutor here, and we actually come up against a slightly interesting interaction where Profane Tutor, we have to suspend it, but after it comes off suspend, they can cast it with Dothy Voidwalker. So I don't think game 1 makes a huge difference, as there's not much they can tutor for. However, games 2 and 3, we're definitely going to have to look for removal spells off of these Dothys, and I think something to think about. I hadn't really considered it too much, that Dothy can just take Profane Tutor, so definitely we'll be looking at it a bit more in this matchup. And we play the second Saga here. We're really going to prioritize getting these tutors off with Saga, as we're looking for kind of just more rocks to lock them out quickly. And so we go ahead and play Bridge. We do want to empty our hand, so we just play the expensive cards first, as we usually do. And then here they get to cast Fable. And off of Profane Tutor, I actually elect to go get a Thoughtseize. I think Shieldred is the only card that will kill us here, and so keeping them off Shieldred is important, as we're able to basically dump most of our hand here. And so we get a Cookbook, as we continue to want to empty our hand. Definitely, I think we should have grabbed a Needle on this Saga and then Cookbook on the second Saga. Kind of got the order mixed up. It didn't make a huge difference here. Fortunately, we weren't punished, but we want Cookbook, and we want as just if they have Blood Moon here, we're like stone dead. And we have the full Lantern lock, so you don't need a ton of mill rocks. So we're looking for Needle and Cookbook. It was just kind of which order we grab them in. Slight mix up here, but doesn't punish us. We take the Bolt, as it's the only direct damage. We don't care about Fatal Push, and if they take something from our hand, that's great. We want to get empty-handed anyway. And so we just start emptying our hand kind of here. We want to get out of out of any burn range. These don't, like Duress, taking a Fatal Push isn't really useful, so you don't, just elect to discard it here. Needle on top will let us get another Mill Rock with Saga, and we do want to discard, as hopefully this Shaman we'll be able to cast it somewhat soon. And they get a Profane Tutor with Dothy, like I was talking about. Obviously kind of problematic letting them have it here, but I think their Scam main deck, their worst card they can grab is Shieldred, and we have the Cookbook to answer it. So like I talked about, they don't have kind of any hugely impactful cards. Obviously, we should have grabbed a needle, but not super worried about it. So they do go play their Shieldred, and we're just gonna go from here. We're basically locked, as we'll grab a second Shredder, play the needle on Dothy, and then just discard cards from our hand, gain life every turn. Importantly, Cookbook gains 3 life, Shieldred will drain you for 2, meaning that every kind of couple turns, and you in 2 turns can gain back the life from 3. So in 1 of 3 cards you're able to play, which is important for getting extra mill rocks. I won't show the rest of the game here. I think I'll cut it pretty soon. At this point, we just don't let them draw Bowmasters, and that's pretty much it. We do put the second needle on Castle Lochthwain just to take them off of instant speed draw. And once they have their instant speed draw shut off, it's an easy lock from here. So we close them out quickly, and let's get into game 2. Sideboarding against Scam, we're going to bring in our Ley Lines of Sanctity just to shut down their early grief starts. Welding Jar is all of their removal is going to be destroy effects, so Jar is very good here. And then Spellbomb and Stone just to again shut down a bit of their graveyard stuff. In terms of what we're taking out, I'd like to take out Surgical here, just being, I think we have enough kind of incidental, like enough other ways of hating on the grief combo that I don't want to give them the opportunity to Surgical off a Ragavan, as that can basically make a game unwinnable. I like to take out Mishra's Bauble, as they play a lot of Bowmasters, which can punish it if it comes early, and I just think it's a easy trim here. And then the 2 Pithing Needles, like having 1 just to get if we need it, but overall they don't have too much that we want to name with Needle in this matchup. So let's get into game 2. Alright, so game 2 on the draw starts on a mulligan, and then we open a fairly medium hand here. I don't think it's overly strong. I think it's good enough. Tutor, we can get our full lock by turn 4. Thoughtseize, Disruption. When I say it like that, it actually sounds pretty good. We like to put the Glimmer Void back here just because I think it's so vulnerable to being destroyed or kind of interrupting our mana like that. If we go turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Tutor, we don't really have a good opportunity to play the Glimmer Void in there. And if because they're Scam, they are likely to have some number of griefs here, grief or Thoughtseize, and them taking a Ghoul Color spell or bridge would kind of leave us without any way of unlocking our Glimmer Void. And so they just play a Swamp and pass here. Not really sure what this would mean in terms of their hand texture. And of course we draw a Leyline of Sanctity. Of course, turn 1 draw Leyline, about right. And we do elect a Thoughtseize, and we see that they have a grief but no way of bringing it back. Voidwalker and Bowmasters. Again, I think the biggest card we care about here is the Molten Collapse. And generally when I Thoughtseize, I am somewhat prioritizing the long game if I don't have a way of quickly closing out the game early. If I had something like Saga, I'd definitely be more concerned with their earlier game stuff, but here I just elect to take the Molten Collapse. Importantly, they are on 1 land, and as you'll see, this does come up in the future here. And so they end up just passing through again, not finding that second land. And if you'll notice, importantly, everything in their hand does cost more than 1 mana. Definitely a clunky hand on their part. And here we do run out the Bell plus Lantern here. We can always tutor next turn, and I think just keeping them on 1 land is very important. Unfortunately, they do hit a Not Dead After All, which is going to let them scam this grief. Obviously, they're going to take the bridge and the Profane Tutor here, but I think at this stage, like grief, it's a fairly slow clock still. Like we have 5 turns to, with our lock, kind of draw into what we need. So I'll take my odds here. There aren't a ton of things that we care about on their end, and we do find another tutor that's going to find us a bridge before the grief would kill us, and at this point we are keeping them on 1 land. So we let them draw the Voidwalker. They've clearly shown they don't have a second land. Fatal Push on top we don't care about. And they can get in for 4 a turn. All we really need to do is find 1 land before the Profane Tutor comes off. And we are going to use Ghoulcaller's Bell at the end of their turn. Maybe it was a bit greedy to get rid of the Duress, but it works out. And we do find that 3rd land, and as a bonus it's can produce blue, so we can get back Ensnaring Bridge, leaving them with Thoughtseize on top. We don't really care if they Thoughtseize our Leyline here, as Leyline is mainly for the early starts, and late game we don't care about Thoughtseize. Another thing here, Ragavan on top obviously is red, and they just have a swamp, so kind of hoping that this Scammed Grief, they're hoping this Scammed Grief can get there, and we're just here to ensure it doesn't. So obviously off Profane Tutor we're going to get Ensnaring Bridge and just lock them down from here. We are going to be somewhat pressured into finding more lock pieces, as we can hold them at 1 land for a while, but we'll see if we can do it for the rest of the game or not. Obviously we're going to use our end step and upkeep to mill them. The reason we use the Ghoulcaller's Bell first here is if there was another land on top, it would change our Thoughtseize decisions. As it stands, they had a bolt underneath, which is not too big of a deal. Again, so we find another mill rock, and with Pixis on top, I think Lantern plus 3 rocks here, we should be able to keep them off of more lands in the future. We mill the Hidetsugu. If we draw, we're just kind of milling pretty much everything here, and we basically have enough mill rocks where at the end of their turn, because they're playing it out, we can just mill them. So we keep Scam on 1 land and get, I'd say, a fairly straightforward 2-0 here. Only kind of mistake was probably mixing up the order of the Urza Saga triggers, but even with Fury gone, Scam is seeing less play, but still enough, and I think overall it's just a pretty good matchup for us. A lot of our interaction lines up well against what they're trying to counter. Obviously not having creatures plays a big role in that, and they lack answers to Ensnaring Bridge. So we get the victory here, and if you're interested in seeing more Lantern control content as we continue to develop, refine the deck, and hit subscribe. Don't forget to do that, as we have lots of gameplay videos, but then also kind of trying to make people better at Lantern. So if you're looking to get better at Lantern, would highly encourage you to subscribe, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.